This is the Academy Island, funded by the top conglomerate Sarasa family. Here, each student's rank is determined by a star rating. Students can duel each other to claim stars. The highest rank achievable is 7 stars, and on this island, stars mean everything. Hiroto is the only one holding 7 stars, but this isn't his true strength. This all started with an accident a few hours ago. Newly enrolled Hiroto got lost in school, which led him to meet a red-haired girl who strangely felt familiar to him. She could be an idol or a model, as he had never seen her before. However, more pressing matters were at hand, like asking her for directions. Upon realizing he was in the wrong campus area, Hiroto was stunned. Fortunately, the girl pulled out her smartphone terminal, which all students are equipped with upon enrollment. It not only manages battles and tracks locations, but also accesses various information through specific functions, although only for those ranked lower than the user. The girl was puzzled as the usage of the terminal was covered at the start of school. Hiroto admitted he never watches tutorials. Thinking Hiroto unlikely to find his way out alone, she decided to lead him. After reaching Campus 4, the bell of Campus 3 rang, reminding her of the opening ceremony she needed to attend. They briefly said goodbye before she left. Suddenly, the unexpected turn of events made the girl suspect that everything might have been orchestrated by Hiroto, as he didn't seem surprised at all, especially since it's hard to believe anyone at the school wouldn't know how to use the terminal, confirming her suspicions further. Hiroto was about to defend himself, but the girl directly asked him to initiate a duel challenge. This confused Hiroto because only those of a lower rank can propose a duel. Accidentally, he pressed the duel button. The girl quickly received the request, but Hiroto had not specified the type of duel, which usually the challenger decides to give the lower-ranked player an advantage. The girl thought Hiroto was trying to humiliate her, but in reality, he had just slipped and sent the request by mistake. This misunderstanding made her choose her strongest type of duel. The moment the girl touched her terminal, a huge duel platform appeared. Hiroto learned her name was Sayonji. The duel was a challenge to see who would laugh first, an enhanced version of the first to change expression loses game. It was conducted in turns. Understanding the rules, Hiroto was ready to start the duel, but Sayonji mocked him for daring to fight without any skills. In her view, even one skill could significantly alter the course of the battle. Considering this, she was confident of her victory. Although Sayonji was adept at strategizing, there was still a rank difference. She used her high-level skills to reduce Hiroto's turn time to just 5 seconds and could summon a blue lightsaber to attack him. As more people gathered to watch, Sayonji wanted to end the fight quickly, hoping to dry her clothes in time for the opening ceremony. However, another unexpected event happened, leading to her complete breakdown. Originally, she was scheduled to speak as the student representative at the opening ceremony today. However, her clothes got wet again, which made her even more convinced that Hiroto had tampered with the sprinkler system beforehand. She believed his aim was to embarrass her in front of everyone. With this thought, she could no longer control her emotions. A wave of embarrassment surged, drastically changing her expression. Following this, the duel announcement sounded. Hiroto won and took 1 star from the girl. Meanwhile, a woman watching from the shadows witnessed the entire seemingly coincidental match. The girl before him was extraordinary. Not only could she analyze the weaknesses of her opponent's skills, but she also had a professional team to help secure victories. Yet, surprisingly, she became the personal maid of a novice player. Although Hiroto had concealed his novice status with his red star, he never expected his dorm to transform into a presidential suite. Hiroto was confused by all this. But after talking with Shirayuki, he understood everything. It was the principal who had orchestrated this to protect Hiroto's secret, appointing Shirayuki as his personal maid. Shirayuki's cooking was excellent, delighting the inexperienced Hiroto. Over the next few weeks, Shirayuki and her team would assist Hiroto in both duels and daily life. Hiroto just needed to live as a 7-star player. This sounded great, but Hiroto soon realized the gravity of the situation because others are not allowed to intervene in duels. However, Shirayuki calmly approached Hiroto and asked him to check the duel requests on his terminal. To his surprise, there were already 42 requests. Shirayuki selected an opponent for Hiroto to experience the benefits of assistance in his first battle tomorrow. Shirayuki handed Hiroto an earpiece. Miss Ami from the team, who specializes in electronic devices, is a top hacker at the academy. In the upcoming duels, Ami would hack into the opponent's terminal. Hiroto only needed to act naturally and not arouse suspicion to easily win. As expected, Hiroto won the duel smoothly. However, it wasn't long before he was challenged again. This time, his opponent was extraordinary. A motorbike girl known for her speed, unmatched in this field by almost anyone at the academy. The contest was a 100-meter sprint with no rules. The first to reach the finish line would win. After some trash talking before the race, it was about to begin. Surprisingly, Hiroto planned to win the race on foot against an opponent on a motorbike. Hiroto appeared calm, but was very nervous inside. Although Shirayuki had analyzed the opponent's weaknesses, Hiroto felt he had no chance of winning. As the race started, the girl sped off towards the finish line on her motorbike, while Hiroto calmly took his first step. Just as the girl was about to reach the finish line, her motorbike suddenly stopped working, and she was thrown forward by the momentum. Fortunately, the race's safety measures were well implemented, preventing any serious injury or worse to the girl. Hiroto then walked unhurriedly to the finish line. After the race, Hiroto's reputation at the academy increased by 1 level. Later, Sayonji approached Hiroto and took him to a secluded place, where she revealed a secret she had hidden for many years. A year ago, the real Sayonji was kidnapped. The kidnappers made no demands, and her family has not been able to locate her since. To protect Sayonji's identity, she sought Hiroto's help. In other words, if Hiroto were to lose a duel, both of their secrets could be exposed. Hiroto had also come to the island to search for his childhood friend, and must keep his own secret until he finds her. If he were to fail in a duel, he would be expelled and forced off the island. Thus, Sayonji and Hiroto formed an alliance. To facilitate future communication, they exchanged contact information. However, the next day, someone came looking for trouble with them. The man with glasses is named Seiren, a renowned 5-star holder at the academy. He challenged Hiroto, prompting Sayonji and Hiroto to hold a crucial strategy meeting because they recognized Seiren's formidable strength. When Sayonji entered Hiroto's presidential suite, she was surprised to find a maid there, and even more surprised that they knew each other. It turned out Shirayuki had once been a maid in the Sarasa household and was one of the few who knew Sayonji's secret. After a brief exchange, they began to develop a detailed plan against Seiren. Shirayuki explained that Seiren's challenge involved a game of number comparison, essentially a card-collecting game where players collect cards numbered from 0 to 19 within a designated area. After the collection phase, each player selects 5 cards to compare sizes, and winning 3 out of 5 rounds constitutes a victory. Shirayuki informed Hiroto that no 1-star has ever beaten a 5-star because 1-stars cannot effectively manage values, whereas a 5-star can manipulate any card to count as 19 points, essentially guaranteeing a win in 1 round. However, there is still a chance to win by collecting more cards during the gathering phase. The next day finally arrived, and the duel began as scheduled. Hiroto triggered his lucky skill, which made the cards near him relatively high in value. However, an unexpected incident occurred when the first card he picked up from the terminal device disappeared right before his eyes. It was clear that Seiren intended to monopolize all the cards. Hiroto quickly realized the gravity of the situation and took swift action. Yet the situation was far worse than anticipated. The elaborate plan devised by Shirayuki nearly fell apart, and the resources placed in the arena were intercepted one by one due to Seiren's interference. Despite the setbacks, Hiroto did not give up. He managed to secure the number 14 card, but feared Seiren would reach the number 17 card before him. Just then, the motorbike girl he had raced before appeared and offered to take him to the number 17 card. With her help, Hiroto's speed increased by more than 2.5 times. Confused about why the motorbike girl was helping him, he learned during their conversation that all this was arranged by the dean. With the motorbike girl's assistance, Hiroto reached the location of the number 17 card, but it was suspended in midair. Despite his efforts, Hiroto was just short of reaching the card until he changed his position and desperately tried again, finally managing to collect the card. However, he lost his balance and fell. Meanwhile, at the competition site, Seiren was close to collecting all the cards. When Hiroto woke up, he found his communication earpiece missing and his head bleeding from the impact. Sayonji rushed over and urged Hiroto to go to the hospital. At that moment, Shirayuki, unable to contact Hiroto, also arrived. Hiroto then suddenly thought of a brilliant idea. In the final stage of the match, Hiroto had only 2 cards left. Even if he won with both, it would only account for 2 rounds, so he didn't even have enough to compete for a final victory. Siren urged Hiroto to concede quickly. Then Hiroto suddenly discarded all his cards. Seeing that Hiroto had no cards left, Siren again urged him to concede. However, Hiroto asked him to carefully read the victory rules. It turned out that Hiroto was waiting for Shirayuki's team of hackers to invade Siran's terminal and change the victory condition to whoever discards all their cards first wins. However, this was only a textual change. The actual game rules were not altered, but the straightforward Seiran took the bait, thinking Hiroto had used a rule-changing skill and discarded all his cards. The match didn't end there, but moved directly to the number comparison phase. Thinking Hiroto had no cards to compete with, the clever Hiroto suddenly produced a card worth 17 points, which he had secretly kept before discarding the rest, ultimately winning the match. Afterward, Hiroto began his recovery in the hospital. Saionji visited him, grateful that Hiroto had successfully protected their mutual secret. Their relationship deepened from then on. From now on, I will refer to the girl pretending to be Saionji by her real name, Rina. Shortly after the match with Siren, the dean called Shirayuki to her office. She told Shirayuki that Hiroto's current level was 2 stars, because he had captured a blue star from Siren in their last battle. Due to Hiroto's special rules, he cannot gain ordinary stars, but there is an exception. He can collect multiple colored stars, allowing him to potentially gather all 7 colored stars. Shirayuki accused the dean of using Hiroto, but the dean explained that Hiroto was already aware of this. She needed Hiroto to collect the 7 colored stars, and in return, Hiroto could stay at the school to find his childhood friend. Thus, they were mutually using each other for their own benefits. The next day, due to being exposed in the last match with Seiren, Shirayuki was transferred to Hiroto's campus. A school-wide selection competition was about to take place. In this competition, everyone had to use a special command called tap. Simply put, if 2 participants come within a certain distance and one issues a tap request, the other cannot refuse. Furthermore, both parties cannot receive other tap invitations for the next 24 hours. Although this competition does not affect the participants' current star levels, the person who loses will be eliminated. The top 5 ranked participants will be selected to compete in the challenge match. At noon, while Hiroto and Shirayuki were having lunch, a girl named Noa suddenly appeared. She came close to Hiroto, accidentally bumping her chest against his arm. Just as Hiroto was about to react, Shirayuki pinched his leg, bringing him back to his senses. Hiroto quickly asked Noa what she needed. Noa explained that an upcoming selection competition was based on a survey asking who people most wanted to compete against, and Hiroto, being a 7-star player, was naturally on the list. She warned him to expect many challengers before leaving. Later, the dean called Hiroto to her office to inform him that the green star, a prize for the upcoming competition, had been stolen. She tasked Hiroto with 3 objectives: identify the thief, retrieve the green star, and ensure his own victory in the selection competition. She also mentioned that the green star had sensing abilities and advised Hiroto to be cautious. The next day, the selection competition began. Shirayuki helped Hiroto evade other students and avoid tap requests by keeping a distance as they moved around the campus. After returning to Hiroto's suite to ensure he could get help, they called in a super hacker named Ami. Ami managed to overlap the coordinates of Hiroto's and Shirayuki's devices, allowing Shirayuki to face challenges on Hiroto's behalf. The plan was successful until Hiroto accidentally collided with Noa the following day. To prevent him from escaping, Noa trapped him between her legs, accusing Hiroto of holding on to her. At that moment, Shirayuki arrived and they quickly implemented an emergency plan. Shirayuki issued a tap challenge to Hiroto, helping him evade the situation successfully. After returning to the dorm, Shirayuki noticed that their favorite sauce was gone, so she decided to go out and buy some. After a while, Hiroto sensed something was wrong. Then, a call came in. It was Noa, who had captured Shirayuki. Noa revealed that she had leverage over Shirayuki and threatened that she would not go easy in the next day's match against Hiroto, vowing not to let him win. This left Hiroto without any means to cheat. Meanwhile, the hacker Ami, who was extremely drunk, acted as if she were at home. For Hiroto, however, Ami was his lifeline. The upcoming competition was a card game where each player held 10 cards. The winner could claim the cards played. If the same card was played, it stayed in play until one player collected all cards. The winner was determined by who had more cards at the end. There were 2 fixed card sequences, A and B, with sequence A generally being stronger due to the card interactions. Most cards dominated the commoner cards, although each commoner card had unique skills. Just then, Hiroto received a message from Shirayuki detailing the skills she would carry the next day. She planned to manipulate the odds to secure the A sequence cards, and then control Hiroto's actions for the first 3 rounds, essentially securing his loss after these rounds. Hiroto immediately asked Ami to use her hacking skills to enhance his card abilities. After discussing the plan all night, just as Hiroto was about to sleep, Rina entered his room. Known as the Empress of the school, Rina was now lying next to him. As neither could sleep on the eve of the match, Rina gave Hiroto a skill card, an unconventional and powerful ability, to use as a talisman in the game. The next day, Hiroto and Shirayuki's challenge commenced as planned. Shirayuki immediately used a probability shift to secure the A sequence cards, followed by a forced operation, just as they had discussed the day before. However, unlike their discussion, Shirayuki did not play the strong cards from Hiroto's hand, which caught his attention. He recalled Shirayuki's emphasis during their phone call not to focus on winning, leading him to a realization. As Shirayuki smirked, Hiroto confirmed his suspicion. Shirayuki continued to play more cards, while Hiroto simply cooperated, playing out the scenario. In the final round, Hiroto was left with only a commoner card, while Shirayuki still had an assassin and a queen card. If Shirayuki played the assassin, Hiroto wouldn't be able to activate the commoner's skill. Betting that Shirayuki would play the queen, Hiroto's gamble paid off as she indeed played the queen card. This activated the commoner's skill, transferring half of the cards Shirayuki had won to Hiroto, leaving them each with 10 cards. Thus, the match ended in a draw due to their maneuvers. After the match, Shirayuki explained that she had become an adversary because Noah had tampered with her device, not only stealing messages, but also bugging it. Noah had not expected Shirayuki to win. Rather, she had hoped for Hiroto's victory because the spying program would transfer to the next winner's control device. At this point, Noah dropped her previously sweet demeanor and vented about being a 6-star, a center of attention. However, since Hiroto's arrival at the school, she felt like she had become just another ordinary person, even nearly exposing the mastermind behind the scenes. With no options left, Noah revealed her trump card, claiming she had installed a self-destruct mechanism in Shirayuki's control terminal that could erase all her information from the school at any moment. She used this to blackmail Hiroto into accepting her challenge. Hiroto was forced to accept Noah's duel challenge. The victory condition was to find the opponent's hidden treasure, which was each player's partner. Hiroto's partner was Rina, and Noah's was Shirayuki. The competition took place in a school building with 48 classrooms, with each floor's rooms labeled from A to N. The game was turn-based, with 4 possible commands per turn. Interrogate allows asking about the opponent's partner's location without lying. Move allows moving up to 3 spaces per turn. Reveal is used to point out the location of the opponent's partner, with each player having 3 chances to guess. A wrong guess results in losing a reveal chance, but the player must be in the location they are pointing out. A correct answer wins the game. The opponents can use the 4th command, evade, to change their partner's location, which also uses up a reveal chance. The player who uses up all 3 reveal chances without success is declared the loser. The game began, and Noah immediately used the bug skill to act twice in a single turn, effectively making 1 turn equivalent to 2. This allowed her to either interrogate Hiroto twice or move 6 spaces per turn. After 2 interrogations, she pinpointed Hiroto's partner Rina's location on the 4th floor. During Hiroto's turn, through interrogation, he learned that Shirayuki was on the 3rd floor or below. He then moved 3 spaces, ending his turn. Noah's next move involved further interrogation, narrowing down Rina's location to 2 classrooms on the west side of the 4th floor. When it was Hiroto's turn again, hacker Ami brought bad news. Noah's defensive barrier skill covered the entire school building, preventing Ami from pinpointing Shirayuki's location due to the strong performance of the control terminal. Hearing this, Hiroto immediately thought of Rina. As time ticked away, the clever Rina, working with Ami, managed to calculate Shirayuki's location, though it exhausted Rina mentally. Just before the round ended, Hiroto interrogated Noah, asking if Shirayuki was in a specific classroom. Surprised by the question and unable to lie, Noah admitted it. Hiroto then moved 3 spaces closer to Shirayuki, preparing to win in the next round by reaching Shirayuki's classroom and making the final reveal. However, Noah used the evade command to shift Shirayuki to another classroom and also guessed Rina's location, moving 6 spaces close to her as the round ended. This reversal completely baffled Hiroto, who then used evade to move Rina to a different classroom. Shirayuki stepped out of the classroom near Hiroto and headed to the room Noah had designated. Hiroto, concerned for Shirayuki, reminded her that it would get very cold by 10 p.m. and to keep warm. After checking the time, which was 8:05 p.m., Hiroto interrogated Noah about whether Shirayuki was in one of 3 specific locations. Now it was Noah's turn to be confused. She asked Hiroto how he knew her location since external interference had been blocked. It turned out that Rina had deduced Shirayuki's location based on their positions, Hiroto on the 2nd floor and herself on the 4th. If anyone moved to the 3rd or 1st floors, footsteps would be heard, so every floor below the 4th was excluded. Excluding the 4 classrooms directly above on the 5th floor left only the 12 spaces on the 5th and 6th floors as possibilities. Furthermore, since Hiroto could only move 3 spaces per round, Noah likely chose a spot 3+1 spaces away. Excluding the music classroom closest to Hiroto, only these 3 rooms remained. Seeing her carefully planned hiding spot uncovered, Noah decided to randomly select Shirayuki's next hiding spot to prevent Hiroto from predicting her moves. She then interrogated Hiroto and pinpointed Rina's location on the 2nd floor, moving to the west side of that floor. In the following rounds, Hiroto finally confirmed Shirayuki's classroom by questioning, but also had to use up his right to answer. He used evade to move Rina to the 1st floor office. Both sides were left with only 1 answer each. However, Hiroto suddenly declared he knew Shirayuki's location. After 10 p.m., Hiroto directly confirmed Shirayuki was in the east side classroom on the 5th floor, within 3 spaces of him. When he reached Shirayuki's classroom and used his answer to find her, he thought he had won. Suddenly, he heard Noah laughing wildly. Noah had one skill unused, Destiny Change, which invalidated Hiroto's recent answer. Noah then moved to the office where Rina was and found her using her final answer. Rina did not expect Noah to use such a cunning strategy to win. Just as Noah thought she had won, Hiroto pulled a major reversal by using a skill card to switch players, changing from Hiroto to Shirayuki. Looking over the entire game, Hiroto had never intended to win because he knew Noah had many unconventional skills capable of turning the situation around. Hiroto's sole aim was to find Shirayuki. During their mid-game conversation, he hinted for her to turn on the air conditioning in her classroom at 10 p.m. This way, Rina, being in the office, could see the classroom where Shirayuki was. Hiroto successfully found Shirayuki and then activated the skill card Rina gave him yesterday to switch players. Remember before the game when Shirayuki told Hiroto why she was on the opposing team? The spy program installed in Shirayuki's control terminal would transfer to the next winner's terminal. While it seemed Noah was controlling the game, Hiroto actually used this to his advantage. He kept engaging Noah, fueling her competitive spirit. Ultimately, he let Noah win, then switched players to Shirayuki, transferring the spy program to Noah's terminal. Hiroto did not lose his qualification for the selection competition despite the loss. How incredible is this man? He even has beauties accompanying him in the bath. After Noah lost to Hiroto, she was reprimanded by the leadership. It turns out this man is the dean of Holy City Academy. He scolded her continuously and even demanded she become his slave. At that moment, Hiroto appeared, broadcasting live with a drone, and publicly exposed the dean's misdeeds. The higher-ups then announced his removal and declared the selection competition was moving into its final stage. Only Hiroto and Noah remained, with Noah deciding to withdraw and let Hiroto become the top student of the academy. However, Hiroto had already withdrawn during the conversation, helping Noah achieve her dream of finishing first. Next, the inter-academy exchange competition was to begin, with representatives from Hiroto's academy, including Shirayuki, Nanase, the student council president Shinji, and both Hiroto and Noah. After the meeting, Hiroto and Rina went to a skill shop exclusive to couples. Rina mentioned the skills were excellent, so she brought Hiroto as her partner to make purchases. The shop owner, suspecting something was off, only allowed them to buy if they held hands. Hiroto, wanting to buy a good skill card, agreed to hold hands with Rina, which quickly turned into a handshake, amusing the shop owner. Hiroto successfully purchased the skill he wanted. Upon returning to their luxurious dormitory, they sensed a strong feeling of jealousy. Shirayuki confronted them for pretending to be a couple and expressed her desire to join Hiroto in the bath. Rina mentioned she had no clothes, but Shirayuki, being a maid, promptly pulled out a variety of clothes for Rina to choose from. As they entered the bathroom, Hiroto turned around to a spectacular sight, his maid on the left and a wealthy young lady on the right. Overwhelmed, Hiroto fainted. All I can say is, if possible, please let me take his place. The next day, the selected 5 people convened a strategy meeting for the exchange competition. The game mode for this competition is called Territory Conquest and Recovery, essentially a point capture game. The competition comprises 10 matches over 2 periods, held in Area 0 of the school, which is also the central area of the island. The game field consists of 1 million cells with randomly set strongholds that players can capture. Once a player holds 3 or more points, the polygon formed between them becomes a territory. Additionally, each stronghold allows players to unleash a skill periodically, but using a skill results in a temporary immobilization. Moreover, the game features 5 different roles. The victory conditions are either to capture all strongholds or defeat all teams. If neither occurs, the team holding the most strongholds at the end wins. Shirayuki summarized these victory conditions, and the cooldown of skills is based on each player's assessed ability. For instance, Hiroto, a 7-star player, supposedly has only a 3-second cooldown. However, this is a trick by Ami to show 3 seconds. Hiroto is actually a 3-star player with a 19-second cooldown. Roles were then assigned. Nanase immediately chose the warrior, and Noah opted for the spy. Hiroto was to pick the commander, which would give him access to technical support from the maid team. However, at that moment, Shinji preempted by declaring his desire to be the commander. Hiroto was reluctant, but since the commander role includes a skill to swap roles, Shinji let Hiroto take it first, with the condition that he must eliminate 3 teams within 3 days, or else they would switch roles. Hiroto agreed, and the exhausting meeting finally ended. But then, Hiroto received a call from Rina about another fake Saionji appearing at the academy. The imposter not only looks like Rina, but also threatens to strip in public using her identity if Rina does not comply. She challenges Rina to a duel to determine who can defeat Hiroto in the upcoming exchange competition, with the winner being deemed the true empress. The competition begins the next day. With the host's command, the environment instantly turns into a virtual space. Everyone selects their role, and their respective territories are displayed, with neutral territories randomly appearing around them. Shirayuki tries to use her capture skill, but finds that her cooldown time has unexpectedly increased from 9 seconds to 90 seconds. This change was made to prevent the game from progressing too quickly, setting capture skill cooldowns to 10 times that of normal skills. During this cooldown, players cannot use other skills and are vulnerable to attacks if discovered by enemies. Meanwhile, Hiroto discovers that using skills within his own territory can reduce cooldown times, and the larger the territory, the greater the reduction. Consequently, everyone starts to expand their territory eastward. After a day of capturing, they have yet to encounter teams from other academies. While dining at a luxurious restaurant, Hiroto and the others are approached by Seiran, whom Hiroto had previously defeated. Seiran declares his determination to win this time. Shirayuki takes this opportunity to introduce members from other academies, such as Tuya, the captain from Academy Number 7, who is among the top 3 in his academy and a 6-star holder. Another notable figure is Senri, the captain from Academy Number 16, rumored to possess a powerful one-hit kill skill that cannot be dodged and guarantees a kill if conditions are met, making her revered like a shrine maiden among her peers. At this, Hiroto breaks into a cold sweat. After returning to his hotel room, Hiroto immediately fell asleep. When he woke up, it was already midnight, and he found that Shinji had covered him with a blanket. It seemed that the usually sharp-tongued Shinji was actually quite kind. Hiroto then got up and went to the bathhouse. On his way back, he encountered a girl wearing colored contacts. After helping her pick up some candy, Hiroto was ready to leave, but the girl suddenly grabbed him and asked him to play with her for a while. After she tired out, Hiroto considerately took her back to her room. The next day, Hiroto's team finally encountered their first opposing team, led by the captain from Academy Number 3. The captain stated that his goal was only to make it into the top 5, so he approached Hiroto to propose a non-interference pact. While Hiroto was considering his strategy, Nanase, who was a warrior, unexpectedly launched a long-range sneak attack and then drew her weapon to fight. After the match, Shinji scolded Nanase for her reckless behavior, explaining that such actions were why they lost to a weaker team in last year's competition. Nanase walked away, upset by Shinji's criticism. Fortunately, they still managed to defeat their opponent, and Hiroto's team currently ranks second in terms of territory held. How ruthless is this man in front of me? For the sake of winning the game, he doesn't hesitate to sacrifice himself. On the second night of the competition, Hiroto and his team were discussing a live broadcast segment of the competition. It turned out to be a replay of 100 Faces impersonating Rina during the match. In the footage, she transformed into an opponent's teammate and wiped out their team while they were distracted. The team learned that 100 Faces could change into any appearance during the match, meaning she could even impersonate their own team members. They decided to pair up in twos for the next day's match. After their strategy meeting, Hiroto went to the room of the girl with colored contacts to play video games with her. He found out she had been playing games all day. Don't kids go to school these days? He wondered. The girl explained that going to school and having to talk to people was too troublesome, and she preferred doing what she liked. She fell asleep in Hiroto's arms right after saying this. And seeing this, Hiroto quietly left. He didn't return to his own room but went straight to Rina's room to discuss strategies on how to defeat 100 Faces. On the morning of the third day, Hiroto and his team were suddenly engulfed in a black fog, which not only obscured their vision but also cut off communication with their hacker, Ami. As the fog lifted, Shinji and Nanase had started arguing. Shinji, suspecting that Nanase might have been replaced by 100 Faces, asked her what gift she had given him last year. Nanase, angry at being doubted, argued back. While they were still arguing, the morning session of the competition ended. An upset Nanase accused Shinji of suspecting her and angrily declared she wouldn't participate in the afternoon match. Shinji, feeling helpless, said he might also skip the afternoon match. In the afternoon match, the team of 5 was reduced to 3, as the game rules prevent quitting once it has started. Suddenly, Ami's communication came through, informing Hiroto that they were surrounded by 2 teams, front and back. Hiroto checked the map and confirmed their predicament of being outnumbered and caught in a pincer move. The 3 immediately discussed their battle plan. The enemy teams quickly encircled them, including the formidable Senri, known for his instant kill abilities, which made Hiroto break out in a cold sweat. Senri, noticing Hiroto's concern, revealed that he was responsible for Shinji and Nanase's absence from the game. Regaining his composure, Hiroto instructed Shirayuki and Noah to handle the team behind them while he faced 5 opponents alone. He pulled out his magic wand and instantly killed an enemy team member with 1 shot. Seeing this, Senri used his instant kill skill, aiming to take out Hiroto. However, Shirayuki arrived just in time, using her shield to block the attack, though it left her with only a sliver of health. Even as a defense specialist, she struggled against Senri's powerful strike. Hiroto and Shirayuki then decided to flee, capturing tiles as they escaped. Yet they had not found a way to counter Senri's deadly skill. As they ran, Shirayuki suddenly stopped. Senri seized the opportunity to unleash his skill, but it mistakenly hit his own teammate. It turned out Shirayuki had used her data management skill to alter the trajectory of Senri's attack. Meanwhile, another enemy was taken out by one of Noah's traps. Despite this, Senri kept track of the number of times Hiroto used his skill, which had reached 35, indicating Hiroto was out of mana. Senri then instructed his teammates to use a skill to immobilize Shirayuki, and eliminated his own teammate to maximize the effectiveness of his instant kill skill. Hiroto suddenly used a dodge move, revealing that capturing tiles was just an illusion skill he had used. Seeing this, Senri decisively chose to flee. After the match, Hiroto found Shinji and Nanase. They learned that Hiroto had killed himself in the game. But all of this was part of Hiroto's plan. How incredible is this man? He managed to do something in the box that I've never done before. After being eliminated from the match, Hiroto approached Kazami, the host of the competition. From Kazami, he learned that 100 Faces, who impersonated Rina, was actually a villain sent by the organizers. She did not belong to any academy, and had also manipulated various account data with the organizers' help, allowing her to impersonate anyone. This cheating was so outrageous that even the host could not stand it. Hiroto's goal was to defeat 100 Faces. He then formed an alliance with Kazami, who secretly moved Hiroto and his team into the competition server. Inside the box, Hiroto took the opportunity to touch the two girls with him. Later, the group arrived inside the server and began to plan their strategy. Hiroto decided to first enter a revival match and, if successful, would ally with other academies to fight against 100 Faces together. Hiroto entered the MTCG Revival Tournament, where all participants had been previously eliminated. The rules of the revival involved collecting cards and completing tasks. By defeating players or trading cards, players could increase their familiars' levels. The objective was to defeat the final elite monster for revival. Essentially, it was a game of matching card numbers. Identical numbers meant victory. Hiroto encountered a kind-hearted girl who sold him cards at a low price, quickly raising his familiar to level 6. He then sought out easy opponents for battles, which felt similar to playing Pokemon. Hiroto won these battles easily. Afterwards, Hiroto went to the card shop and sold his most expensive card, exploiting a price gap to earn a large amount of coins and raising his familiar to level 18. He then met two classmates who gave him cards for free. With his enhanced deck, Hiroto challenged the elite monster, who turned out to be Sheena, a girl he had previously played games with. The battle began immediately. Hiroto used all his cards to raise his points to 30. Initially, Sheena had negative 99 points, but thanks to the hacker Ami, her points were also adjusted to 30, matching Hiroto's. Hiroto then defeated Sheena's familiar, exposing her true identity as 100 Faces, the impersonator of Rina. After successfully reviving, Hiroto found Kazami and took the host's microphone to call for a coalition of academy teams to fight against 100 Faces together. She is the most extreme player in this game, not only combining skills from all classes, but also equipped with a satellite map. Her astonishing health points of 999 shocked everyone, as their health points were only 5. However, Hiroto thought of a strategy. He planned to use Senri's one-hit kill ability that could ignore health points and instantly defeat the target. But Senri was on 100 Faces' side. To get Senri on his side, Hiroto arranged for a sneak attack from behind, but it was thwarted by a magical attack from Senri's team. Then, a light ball attack from Shinji and Noah defeated them. Nanase quickly took down another enemy while they were still unresponsive. By the time Senri reacted, her skills were neutralized by Shinji's counter abilities, and Noah Sneak attacked Senri's last teammate. Leaving Senri alone and with no escape. She then agreed to Hiroto's request. With Senri's defection, the villains, including 100 Faces, were reduced to 4 players. Soon after, Hiroto and his group arrived. Facing the powerful Hiroto, Tuya unleashed all his strength, merging magic with his sword to buy time for Hiroto to strategize. Shinji took the front line, while Nanase restrained the other two. Hiroto then had an idea. He asked Shirayuki to use her skill replacement to copy Tuya's magical sword, enhancing its power. However, Hiroto's attack intentionally caused no damage, as he had Ami alter the skill settings. Meanwhile, Tuya prepared to go all out, summoning 2 magical swords and striking down Shinji and Nanase. Noah then rushed forward, seemingly to sacrifice himself, which confused Hiroto. But then, Tuya was entangled by electronic vines. revealing that Noah had set a trap to activate upon his elimination. However, Tuya summoned a nullification barrier, making all external magic ineffective against him. But this was his last skill. Suddenly, a magical attack from inside the barrier struck Tuya down. It was revealed that Saren, who had been planted by Hiroto as a spy on the opposing team since the game began, launched the attack. As a fan of Rina, Saren refused to allow 100 Faces to replace her. When Tuya was eliminated, Shirayuki was also eliminated at the same moment, and Saren voluntarily withdrew to preserve his ranking. Meanwhile, Rina was still battling 100 Faces. Senri took advantage of a flaw to unleash a skill at 100 Faces, but unfortunately missed and was eliminated by a single shot from 100 Faces. Just as 100 Faces was about to eliminate Rina, the match time for the day just ended. At this moment, only Hiroto and Rina remained besides 100 Faces. The girl was swayed by a man using Primogems to join forces with 100 Faces against Hiroto. She not only mimicked Rina's appearance but also had enhanced skill values. The night before the battle, Sheena still called Hiroto to play games with her. Hiroto realized that Sheena was unaware of Rina's true identity and was just enjoying the game. To win, it seemed necessary to defeat the mastermind, Kurahashi. Hiroto gathered everyone to discuss strategies, acknowledging that since the opponent used unfair tactics, they too could not limit themselves to the rules. On the final day of the battle, Hiroto proposed a new game to Sheena, who loved gaming and readily agreed. The game, named Intersecting Boards, featured a chessboard that acted as a miniaturized version of a territorial acquisition game. The game was linked to the territorial acquisition game, where losing all squares or the core base on the chessboard meant defeat. The rules were turn-based. Sheena quickly occupied Hiroto's territory, reducing it to 2 squares. However, in the next moment, Rina's territory was suddenly captured. Kurahashi was making his move. He used technology to clone game players, bringing back eliminated players to capture territory. Hiroto was not passive, though. Directed by Shinji, Nanase expanded Hiroto's territory, surprising Kurahashi. He thought they had been eliminated the day before. It turned out that when Tuya hit them, Shinji had used a skill to negate the attack, and the host Kazami had falsified the server logs to create the illusion that they were eliminated. On the chessboard, Hiroto's territory kept expanding. Suddenly, Sheena's hand was controlled, turning every square she pointed to into her own territory. Undoubtedly, this was Kurahashi's cheating. Hiroto was waiting for this moment to use his skill for reverse tracking. He not only appeared on Kurahashi's screen, but also pinpointed his location. Soon after, the door to Kurahashi's room was blasted open by Shirayuki and Noah, along with others. Faced with questioning from a group of students, Kurahashi was defeated. Shirayuki then took direct control of Sheena's body, converting all squares on the chessboard to Hiroto's territory. With this victory, the territorial game also ended, and everyone recognized Hiroto's strength. Hiroto, wanting to reunite with his childhood friend at this school, decided to continue the charade of being a 7-star player.